Here's a fact that's going to sting some of you watching this right now. Rich people aren't rich because they're smarter than you. They're rich because they don't waste money on the same dumb things that everyone else does. Harsh? Maybe. True? Absolutely. And if you've ever wondered why your bank account feels like a leaking bucket, it's probably because you're pouring cash into the exact 15 things the wealthy would never touch with a 10-foot pole. And once you understand these 15 money leaks, you'll start to see why the rich keep stacking while everyone else keeps sinking. So let's get right into it. 15. Flashy cars, especially new ones. Rich people love cars, don't get me wrong, but you'll rarely see them wasting money on a brand new one straight off the lot. Why? Because the moment you drive a new car out of the dealership, it loses value faster than a crypto coin after Elon tweets something dumb. Wealthy people know cars are status signals, not investments. They buy quality, but they buy used or they lease strategically. Meanwhile, average people blow $60,000 on a new ride to look rich and then cry when it's worth half that in 3 years. Which I don't know about you, but to me, that's absurd. So, if you think driving a brand new car makes you look rich, you're actually showing the world you don't understand money. But that's just the warm-up. Because the next money trap is something way sneakier. And you've probably already wasted cash on it this month. 14th, overpriced coffee habits. Yeah, you know that $8 latte you grab every morning? Rich people aren't standing in line for that. Now don't get me wrong, do they drink coffee? Absolutely. Heck, even I drink coffee. But they're not addicted to daily overpriced Starbucks caffeine. Why? Because they understand it's death by 1,000 swipes. That $8 habit 5 times a week adds up to over $2,000 a year. Do you know what $2,000 invested every year for 20 years looks like? It's not coffee money, it's retirement money. Wealthy people don't deprive themselves, but they don't chain themselves to rituals that drain cash without return. They'll buy the machine, make it at home, and still get the caffeine hit, while their investments work in the background. But coffee is just the obvious one. The next thing rich people never waste money on is so common. It's practically built into how most people live their lives. And the rich, they've hacked their way right around it. 13. Massive houses they don't need. Here's the trap. Society tells you that success equals a big house. The problem? Big houses come with big bills, higher taxes, endless repairs, furniture you don't even sit on. Rich people aren't dumb. They don't sink their wealth into square footage they don't use. Sure, billionaires buy mansions, but everyday millionaires, they buy enough house, not a castle. Why? Because a house isn't just a mortgage. It's maintenance, insurance, utilities, and time. Wealthy people would rather live comfortably below their means and put the extra money into income-producing assets. Meanwhile, the middle class flexes with 5 bedrooms and then complains about never having money to invest. By the way, if you're serious about building generational wealth, when you finish watching this video, go back and watch our financial freedom playlist to go from broke and struggling to financially untouchable. Also, make sure to subscribe to the channel and consider becoming a member to stay updated. Anyways, back to the houses. See, it's not just about overpriced property. Rich people avoid another kind of flex purchase that traps the middle class every single time. In fact, it's one of the most painful money leaks I've ever seen. 12th, expensive trendy clothes. Here's a dirty little secret. Most rich people's closets look boring. You won't find them buying $500 sneakers just because some celebrity dropped a collab. They know fashion trends are designed to make you broke. You're paying for hype, not quality. Real wealth buys timeless, durable pieces. The average person wastes thousands a year chasing the next trendy item, while the wealthy wear the same blazer for years, and no one notices because confidence, not logos, makes the statement. Oh, and those $1,200 designer belts, the rich laugh, because that's what amateurs buy to signal wealth. Now listen, I'm not here to tell you to live like a monk or start making furniture out of Amazon boxes, but the truth is, the rich play the money game differently. Where average people see fun or status, wealthy people see a trap. But if you think clothes are where the rich flex, wait until you hear about the next thing they never waste money on. It's even shinier and way more dangerous for your wallet. 11th, shiny jewelry for status. All right, let's talk about the bling. Middle class flex, buying the biggest gold chain or diamond ring they can finance. You see the music videos, but here's how we turn things around. The rich flex is quietly owning assets that appreciate. Jewelry is almost always a terrible investment. It loses value the second you swipe your card. That's why the rich know what drains cash, what kills momentum, and what makes you look wealthy instead of becoming wealthy. Wealthy people don't drop cash on status pieces that scream, "I'm rich." They invest in assets that silently scream, "I'll be rich forever." Sure, they may have a Rolex, but it's often a piece that holds or even increases in value. Not a mall-bought chain that'll pawn for pennies. If you're financing jewelry, you're not buying wealth. You're renting insecurity. But while jewelry is flashy, the next trap is invisible, and it's draining more money from average people than anything else on this list. 10. High-interest debt. Now, if you're a longtime subscriber, you already know this is the one that literally crushes people. Rich people never waste money paying 20% interest on credit cards. Why? Because they don't let it get that far. Interest is the tax on impatience. The middle class buys now, pays later, and ends up paying double. The wealthy, they understand leverage. They use debt as a tool, not a ball and chain. They'll take on low-interest debt to buy an investment property, but you'll never catch them stuck paying $4,000 for a $1,500 couch because of credit card interest. Average folks think debt is normal. Rich folks think debt is optional, unless it makes them richer. And speaking of optional, the next money drain is something rich people avoid, not because they can't afford it, but because they know it's one of the sneakiest traps in modern life. 9. Lottery tickets and get-rich-quick schemes. I've said this more times than I can count, but I'll say it again. Here's the harsh truth. The lottery is a tax on people who don't understand math. Rich people never waste money on it. Why? Because they know the odds are stacked harder than a Vegas casino on steroids. The same goes for get-rich-quick schemes. While the average person throws money at scratch-offs, pyramid schemes, and shady online gurus, the rich are playing the long game. Slow, boring, compounding growth. That's why they win. They're patient. Average folks want to double their money overnight and end up broke overnight. Rich people know real wealth builds quietly, not on a $2 ticket at the gas station. And while the lottery is an obvious waste, the next thing rich people never spend on is something you probably think is smart spending. Spoiler, it's not. It's a money trap hiding in plain sight. 8. Brand new tech, just to flex. This, unfortunately, is one of the biggest problems most young people have, and I'm sure there's someone watching this video right now that might be a victim to it. You know that guy who camps outside the Apple Store every September just to buy the newest iPhone? Yeah, he's usually not rich. The wealthy aren't in a rush to buy every shiny new gadget the second it drops. Why? Because they know version 1.0 is basically just a beta test you're paying thousands for. They wait. They upgrade when it makes sense, not when Apple tells them to. The average person burns through $1,200 on the latest phone while still paying off last year's model. Rich people, they'll keep the old one until it's actually slowing them down. They don't need to flex with tech because their bank account does the flexing for them. But while tech toys drain wallets fast, the next thing is even worse. Because it pretends to be a shortcut to wealth, and rich people know it's a straight-up trap. 7. Expensive financial advisors who don't perform. Let me give you the mistake I used to make, and then I'll give you the solution. Because this is the one the middle class never sees coming. Paying big money to someone who's supposed to manage your money, but really just bleeds you with fees. Rich people know the game. They don't waste money on advisors who charge commissions or hidden fees for average results. They either learn the basics themselves or hire top-tier professionals with performance-based incentives. Meanwhile, average folks hand over 1 to 2% of their wealth every single year, thinking it's normal. That's not financial advice. That's robbery in slow motion. The wealthy never waste money on middlemen who don't deliver. Now, if financial advisors are the sneaky thieves, the next money drain is way more obvious. And it's something almost everyone has wasted money on at some point. 6. Overpriced gym memberships they don't use. Let's be honest, how many people sign up for a gym in January, go for 3 weeks, and then spend the next 11 months donating $60 a month to Planet Fitness? Rich people don't play that game. They value health, sure, but they don't waste money on memberships they'll never use. They'll invest in a personal trainer, home equipment, or simply stay disciplined without throwing money at a corporate contract. The middle class treats gym memberships like a status badge. Look at me, I'm committed to fitness. The wealthy? They know commitment doesn't come from a key card swipe. It comes from discipline, and discipline is free. And speaking of paying for things you don't actually use, the next thing on this list is so subtle that most people don't even realize how much money they're burning on it every single month. 5. Subscription overload. All right, let's stop playing around for a minute and get serious. I want to share with you the silent killer: subscriptions. Streaming services, meal kits, apps, random monthly boxes of stuff you don't even remember signing up for. Average people death spiral into $200 a month on subscriptions they barely touch. The wealthy, they're ruthless about cutting the fluff. They don't pay $15 a month for 5 different streaming platforms when they only watch one show. They know those little charges add up fast, and they protect their cash flow like hawks. For the middle class, subscriptions are convenience. For the rich, they're landmines. 1 or 2 makes sense. 15, that's not convenience. That's financial death by autopay. And while subscriptions quietly eat away at your money, the next waste is loud, obvious, and usually parked right in front of your face. Spoiler, it's the reason so many people stay broke even when they get a raise. 4. Fancy cars for every family member. Okay, now this one is so dumb I'm almost embarrassed to talk about it, but it's something you need to learn. Here's the classic trap. Middle-class families love to buy cars like Oprah gives them away. You get a car, and you get a car. The problem? Cars are liabilities, not assets. The rich never waste money by filling their driveway with vehicles no one needs. 1 car per person is practical, but 2, 3, 4, that's thousands in insurance, maintenance, and depreciation just sitting there collecting dust. Wealthy people would rather keep fewer high-quality cars that serve a purpose, not collect status points. Average folks think more cars, more success. The rich think more cars, more bills. And trust me, they'll pick cash flow over car shows any day. But if cars are the flex everyone can see, the next money waste is the one everyone loves to brag about, even though it's quietly draining their wealth. 3. Expensive vacations they can't afford. Look, let's cut the fluff and get right into it, cause yeah, you already know I'm going there. Let's talk about the Instagram flex. The all-inclusive vacation. Average people love to drop $5,000 they don't have on a week in Cancun just to post pictures with fruity drinks. Rich people, they love travel too, but they never waste money on luxury trips they can't afford. They either travel strategically, use points, or wait until they actually have the money. Why? Because debt-financed vacations feel fun for 1 week, then feel like regret for 52. The rich don't need to prove anything with travel. They don't need to come back broke just to say, I was there. They play the long game, building wealth so they can own their time, and then travel wherever, whenever, without sweating the bill. And if vacations are the middle-class trap, the next one is the everyday battlefield where fortunes are lost. 3 meals a day, every day. Second constant, takeout and dining out. Here's the thing, eating out isn't bad, but the average person treats takeout like a food group. $20 for lunch here, $40 for dinner there. Add it up and you've got a mortgage payment in Uber Eats receipts. Rich people don't waste money on constant takeout. They might dine out for connections, business, or special experiences, but not as a lazy daily habit. Why? Because $1,000 a month on food that could be cooked for $300 isn't just bad for your wallet, it's bad for your wealth-building momentum. The middle class eats to escape work stress. The rich cook, invest, and eat to fuel wealth. Big difference. And while food burns through your budget fast, the final money leak is even worse, because it's not about what you buy, it's about who you're trying to impress. 1. Keeping up with the Joneses. This is the ultimate trap. The rich never waste money competing with neighbors, friends, or strangers online. They don't buy cars, houses, or clothes to impress people they don't even like. Why? Because they know that chasing appearances is the fastest way to stay broke. Average people spend money to look rich. The wealthy spend money to stay rich. Keeping up with the Joneses is like running a race where the finish line keeps moving. You'll never win. The rich checked out of that race years ago. And that's why they're free. So now let me ask you something. After all of these 15 things, do you notice a pattern? It's simple. The wealthy aren't about deprivation. They're about precision. They don't say no to everything. They say no to the wrong things, so they can say yes to the right ones. investments, freedom, time, and options. And here's the kicker. You don't have to be rich to start thinking like the rich. Every dollar you don't waste is a dollar you can redirect into building the life you want. So ask yourself, which of these 15 money traps are you guilty of? Be honest and drop it in the comments. Because the first step to wealth isn't making more, it's wasting less. If you got value from this, comment the words, "I never waste money," and share this with someone who needs a wake-up call. As a matter of fact, there's a quiet strategy that easily helps you learn how to build wealth on a small salary. We break it down step by step in this next video. Just click the video on the screen, and we'll see you in the next one.